Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Tearing It Up podcast. We have a very special guest to me, very special to me because we've been working with a woman named Stacy Klein of Darby Communications, which you guys have heard of, I think, in past episodes. And recently, when we talked with Julie Bacon, who started her journey in the outdoor industry and marketing with Darby Communications years ago. So that was a fun kind of full circle moment. But we have been working with her to get somebody from BRANWYN innerwear, performance innerwear on the show. And I'm really excited to finally have Sarah Cumming here with us today, who is the CFO and COO of BRANWYN. And to me, that just sounds so big. Like we love a title, and it's so cool because yeah, we have a lot of women, amazing women founders on here. So they're CEOs of their small businesses and all that, and I just love it. It's just so amazing, and it's been a treat to be able to work with Stacy and learn more about BRANWYN along the way. I've gotten some product from BRANWYN that I wouldn't even say testing anymore, just use, and it's in the rotation. I love it so much. So I can't wait to dive into the story about it and find more about Sarah and how she ended up in this position. So, Sarah, we love to start the show with asking the guest where exactly you are in the world as we're recording right now.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I am in beautiful British Columbia in Canada, in a small town called Squamish, just south of Whistler and just north of Vancouver.
Amazing. Love it. You connect very closely then to the Pacific Northwest roots of this podcast. I am from Tacoma, Washington. So very close by neighbors, but I've actually never been to Canada.
Oh my gosh, you have to come. It's such a short drive.
I know. I can't believe it. There were a few opportunities. Well, not very many, but when I was younger, because now, I live in Truckee, California. I still go up to Washington often, but when I'm up there, my time is pretty like short, and it's all about seeing my little like niece and nephews now. And I never can get quite enough time to like shoot up there, but we've been talking about it for the last few years in the winter to go snowmobiling up there in a few different areas. So it's 100% on the list. And, time just keeps ticking by. All of a sudden, it's another year, another season gone. But yeah, it is just so beautiful up there. And that's so cool that you're I still feel like I'm in the Northwest sometimes. So I feel like, oh, you're my neighbor.
Well, when you come up, let me know. I'll show you around.
Absolutely. So have you been, well, I guess before we get there, I do want to know, the type. So like I mentioned, you're the CFO and COO of BRANWYN. Can you tell us a little bit exactly about like what those titles are, what you do with BRANWYN right now?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're a small team. The team is or the headquarters is based out of Bend, Oregon. So another outdoor adventure town. In my role, I oversee the finance function and the operations function. So that's overseeing accounting, anything financial related, financial reporting, all that finance stuff. But then also, so on the ops side, I oversee like production planning, purchasing, fulfillment, customer service, all of those functions in like getting the product to the customer's doors. And I work really closely with our product development person she's in Turkey. And so just really working closely with the factories and cross-functionally to get the product into our warehouse and out to customers in the most efficient way possible.
Ah, that's so cool. And I love that the headquarters are in Bend again, just like keeping the love in the West. And, I love everyone out there in the East too. You're great. But I guess that the hearts and souls here of this podcast are rooted in the West. But so we love when we get a brand on who is in the similar area. But I am curious though, you're in Squamish now. Have you been there long, or like where did you grow up? How'd you get there?
Yeah, I mostly grew up in Florida, Gainesville, Florida, so North Florida, East Coast. But I grew up in a very Canadian family, so I have like very deep Canadian values. And then I went to school in New York. I went to NYU, and I lived in New York for 17 years, doing the hustle bustle of the big city. And then I moved to Vancouver 10 years ago and Squamish 9 years ago. So it's
Wow.
been a bit of a journey. I've been like East Coast, West Coast, North, South countries. Yeah, it's been a ride.
That's incredible. And what brought you to all the way? I feel like this happens a lot too. From the east, it like people end up really all the way over in the west, not even like a slow trickle, but just like across the country. What took you to Vancouver?
Yeah, so in New York, when I was like in school, I was working at a skate and snowboard shop. And so I was going snowboarding every weekend through the winter. And I mean, I learned to snowboard then. And so I was helping running the trips. And then in my time living in New York, it got to the point where every holiday I was going on, I was going camping or snowboarding. And then I got to the point I was like, what am I doing here anymore? And because I'm a Canadian citizen, Canada was an option. And in the apparel space, you go LA, Vancouver, or New York, right? Like that's like the trifecta. So, and I'm not an LA kind of girl. And my little sister had just had her son and she lived in Victoria, BC. And so I went to visit her and I was like this place actually exists. Like there are waterfalls, like a 10-minute drive from your house and everything's bright and green and lush and there's the ocean and like just pure magic. So I fell in love with BC. And a couple years later, I found a job running a women's clothing company in Vancouver and got on an airplane, left all my friends after 17 years and everything that I knew. Didn't know a soul in Vancouver. Arrived and then I met my daughter's dad and we moved to Squamish. Then like a year later, I had my daughter, and now home is Squamish. I love going back to visit the city, but now this really feels like home. Like there's a river behind my house, and no one's ever there, and get to ride Whistler every weekend, and just enjoy the ocean and all the things. Like I think where I live is just my perfection, my paradise.
Oh, that's incredible. And it still speaks to my soul so much, the green, the water, all of that of the Northwest, in Tahoe. It's we have beautiful outdoors and we have water and this and that, but it's still like just that much more lush. I feel like up there in the Northwest
So
and
much
in
rain.
yeah, yeah. And it just, yeah, it feels like Narnia when you're out there, like really in the dense forest with the green and the waterfalls and my
Totally.
Narnia anyway. Like you said, it's your perfection now. And that's just what, the story that happens to a lot of people, wherever it is, whether it's the West or not, you move somewhere and you just feel like we've talked about this before on the pod, like when you go somewhere and you just feel instantly like, wow, this is it. I belong here, no matter how long it ends up being. But in that time in your life, you're like, yeah, that's that feeling you get that feels so right. And I feel like that's what gives you kind of that courage to make those big moves. Like you said, leaving your entire friend group and all that 17 years to a place where you don't know anyone, that's huge. And it's not easy to do. But man, like I said, those feelings that get inside you, they give you that courage to go and do it and know that it's right or it's going to be at least a fun adventure. Um, and I see the skateboards on your wall behind you. So that's really cool. You worked in a snow and skateboard shop. And you mentioned you still go to Whistler. So do you still like skate or did you
So
skateboarded
yeah, I was
yourself or
my social world was the skateboard world. My like activity was snowboarding. So yeah, I had like all my friends were skateboarders in New York, or a lot of them were. And then so it's like a nod to my former like life where like went to all the cool parties and like went and traveled with skate teams and stuff. And so that's a nod to that. And most recently, though, I got my daughter a skateboard and I got a longboard, and so we're learning together, and it's so
oh,
fun.
I love that. Oh,
I'm
that's so
like,
cool. That
why
was
did
going to
I
be
not
my
skateboard sooner? Like, why was I part
yeah.
of the scene but not doing the sport? But it's because it was like all the guys were skateboarding,
Mhm.
none of the girls were. We were like the girls hung around, right?
Yep.
Like that's just what the scene was, even though we appreciated it so much.
I totally resonate with that. I had a longboard years ago. I mean, it's still somewhere in storage, but that's where I got into it was trying to longboard, not necessarily skateboard. I had my hand at it a few times. My brother did. But like, you're right. That was the scene that the girls go to the skate park and kind of watch and a couple might hop on and do a little bit. But it was, yeah, just different times. And I still, to this day, I actually tried skateboarding in a few years ago. My friend picked it up here when she was in Tahoe, and she started skating. And so I went out a couple times with her, and we were, I think, 30 or pushing 30. And we're like, why in the heck are we starting this now? But it was so fun.
I'm
And that was
starting
my
at 45.
that's awesome. Yes, yes, love it. Never too late. That's one of our MOs here on the
Never.
podcast too. Like, don't let age stop you. It's a construct. But the only thing is that I have to say is what stopped the thing that tends to stop me more with doing new things and age is just that things hurt a lot more. Okay. Like the slams really, really hurt a lot more. I don't recover as well. And it's a lot more expensive when I can't, like, when you do get hurt for numerous reasons, like not working or whatever it is. So those are just the thoughts that come into my brain. But my next question, too, is whether your daughter does or not. So that's so fucking cool that you guys are learning this together and just a different kind of bonding experience.
It's so fun too because like there are no girls around here skateboarding, right? And so she thinks it's really cool that she's skateboarding, which is awesome.
Mhm.
Because she's turning 8 next week, and it's just like such a like like becoming independent and like become like just coming into her own a little bit is so cool that she's like holding on to that is something that she thinks is really cool. And I told her, I was like, I have a goal to like skateboard all the way downtown. And she was one day, she's like, Mom, she's like, we're doing it. And I was like, okay. And we like skateboarded super far, made it. And she was like, Mom, you did it. Like you achieved your goal. And she was so proud of me and of herself. And like, it was just, anyways, it's just really good moments. I mean, we have them similarly on the ski hill.
Oh, I
But
love it.
yeah, it's so good.
That's amazing. That's so amazing. So that brought you over to the West here. You're enjoying Whistler, the whole scene, all the things. You get your job at this women's apparel company. Tell us how that has kind of like started the path that you're on now. What were you doing for that apparel company then?
Yeah, I'll actually go back just a little bit further
Mhm.
because in New York, in those 17 years, I as a Canadian, I deeply value the outdoors, sustainability, taking care of the planet, and also fairness. Those are like kind of like the trio of Canadian values from my perspective. And so those values are really hard to find in New York, right? But
Mhm.
I was on a mission like through the different jobs I had to like find them. And so I kept finding them in different ways. And so I originally wanted to be a fashion designer. School, it didn't end. I ended up studying finance and marketing. The fashion ship sailed. And I ended up taking like the first job that came my way, like when I graduated and needed to leave the skate shop and go beyond making $7 an hour. I took the job that was like had the most responsibility that was offered to me, right? And so it was super corporate, like so not me, but like super corporate. And that's where I got my like grounding of like how of like best practices, like how things can operate. It was like a $500 million business, and I was like 22 and in charge of $30 million in revenue. Like it was like right, like so I learned so many things and like how to do things well. And so from there, I ended up back in the apparel industry through a series of events. But in visiting the factories, I like sustainability became, or like just like the ethical working practices became really, really important to me. And so I ended up working at a denim company that was only producing in the United States because of like ethical production issues elsewhere. And so I had this like wealth of like things that were important to me, but also like how you do things. Like, how do you order buttons? How do you decide how much fabric to buy? How do you store the fabric? Like, just like all the things. How do you find a factory? How do you do QC? How do you negotiate minimum order quantities? And right, like all the things.
Mhm.
So it was really cool because when I landed this job in Vancouver, the business was it was struggling at the time. And I was like, well, I know how to fix this. And so I just did all the things, introduced like formal merchandise planning, formal production planning, just gross margin improvement plans, and like getting all the sales agencies aligned, and really really just used all those things that I had learned in New York where things are like done like super efficiently and all to maximize value. and applied them to like a West Coast, like more laid back brand. And like in a year, we became quite profitable and sustainably so. So it was just really rewarding to like take all these things that I cared about, apply them to a business that really needed it. They were also launching a really sustainably sourced brand at the time. It didn't end up working out, but just because of the economics. But that's what really drew me to that company at the time. I was like, oh, I can like really run with this sustainability thing. And so, anyways, that's how I came to Vancouver. Then I had my daughter after working at that company for a bit, and then became the CFO and COO at the BC Parks Foundation. So I went nonprofit for a couple years.
Wow, cool.
Um, just that sustainability thing, right? It's like, and when you bring a child into the world, you're like, I want the world to be a better place for you. Like, is there anything I can do to help it? Like, just buying more sustainable brands is not going to solve anything, but protecting land for future generations, now that's really compelling. So I did that
Yes,
for a couple of years.
that's amazing. And funny that you bring this up in that way because literally this morning, as I was driving to the gym, I was listening to a podcast, I'm sure, and like, thinking about just the state of the world and the public lands and all that. And yeah, having this thought of like, God, it is honestly one thing that does terrify me about having children is like what they'll have available to them. Because I'm like, I can't imagine life right now. It's hard to picture what my life's going to be like in 20 years, what we're going to have access to. It's just, I don't want to get us down a rabbit hole of, again, the world and the bad things. But again, that fear just of, yeah, what would life be like for kids if I had them, when they're adults? Like, it's hard not to think about those things when you have kids or whether you don't, right? And so I love that that's what drew you into that world, that nonprofit. Like, I gotta do what I can to be able to give this to my daughter when she's older, or help protect it so she has access to these as well. And it's also been a running theme on the podcast of something that I have to remind myself of often is everything feels overwhelming right now, and often we don't take action because it feels like we can't do anything. It doesn't matter, right, in the grand scheme, but it does, and we just have to do what we can with what we're given and where we are, and just know that those little steps really do make a difference. So you working with a nonprofit, and no, I'm not saying everyone needs to go work for a nonprofit, but yeah, maybe so buying more sustainable brands is the thing that you can do. But yeah, just sorry, a little tangent there. I just
Yeah.
can't believe how that like came up today, and that was exactly in
Yeah.
my thoughts.
That's wild. Yeah. And I think it was one of those things where I had this opportunity. I was just coming off of mat leave and I had this opportunity that fell in my lap. And I was just like, yes, I must apply my energy and skill set to the problems that need to be solved in this space. And it was so rewarding. Like there's this one place here in BC, you can only get to it by boat. It's called the Princess Louisa Inlet. And it's like this fjord, like super steep, like coming down all like fluorescent green,
Oh,
raining most of the time.
amazing.
And there's just like waterfalls pouring in, like wherever you look, there are waterfalls pouring into this inlet. And we had just protected it, like at the BC Parks Foundation, we had just protected that whole area for forever. I think we raised like $2 million crowdfunding, like to
Wow.
protect it. Like it was just such a cool campaign. And I had just done all the back office, right? Just like the donations and the tax receipts and just all the stuff. And then my older sister has a sailboat and she took my family there. And we were able to go and sail in. And my daughter, I think she was 3 or something.
Oh,
And we went and spent 2 nights in this like purely magical place. And it was like the most rewarding thing to be like, I had something to do with it. Right.
that's
Like it's just, there's
amazing.
really powerful moments when you like actually feel like you're really connected to something that you so care about. And for future generations, right? Just like that place can't be spoiled, you know?
Yes. Oh, that is so, so incredible. And I can just envision that place. I spent a lot of time in Southeast Alaska. And so, yeah, I've seen some of the fjords, and I just right now you just talking about that place, it's all I can picture. And I'm like, I have to go. I have got to like get further up north, and I
Yes.
need to be in those environments. I just love them so much. It sounds beautiful. And what a, like you said, powerful thing to know that you played a hand in helping protect this for future generations. And just absolutely amazing. So through your work with the nonprofit, how long were you there? And then how did that lead you back into the apparel side of things?
Yeah, so it's a bit further of a journey. All my stories are journeys.
We love them.
I always just like I'm like if I get excited about something, feel compelled to do it, right? And so the opportunity came my way to bring an American direct-to-consumer furniture brand to Canada. So that sounded really fun after a few years at the foundation. And so, yeah, I spent the last 2 years, 2 or 3, can't even remember, running the Canadian business or like bringing the brand to Canada, running the Canadian business. And then I also became the FP&A person for the whole business. And so that was fast. That was a great like DTC super focused, huge volume business. So that was really a great lesson in like paid marketing spend and like all the marketing metrics and like optimizing and like all the things and really connecting that to the finance. So that was like finance plus like market stuff. And like I worked really closely with the marketing team to drive success there. And the company was sold in the, like last fall. And so they closed the Canadian business. And so then this is where it's really cool is because the reason I bring up all the past experiences because they all came together and I was introduced to BRANWYN. So it's back to apparel, which I know so well. It's a small team growing brand, which I love working for growing brands. It is like sustainability is at the core of the brand. And it has such a use in the outdoor space, which ties it to like where I live, the activities that I do. So it's like this full circle moment. And I get to do finance and ops. And I love when I have both of them and not just one. So, because I love I love using operational things to improve financial performance. And like, I really love when they're tied together. So it's really been this amazing, like, it was all meant to be moment for
Oh, I
me.
love it. I love to hear
Yeah.
that. That's
Yeah.
really cool. I mean, we love hearing about a journey and the windy path to get there, right? That's what this podcast is about, is talking about those paths. And also, I think the audience, our main audience who listens to this in my like millennial generation, and above, where it was very much kind of ingrained in you, like go to school, get a job, you stay in that job until you retire and you're done, right? There's a lot more talk these days about job hopping, and I think you can look at that in very different lenses and ways. And because when I was younger, job hopping was looked at as like, oh, you just like, you can't commit, right? And you're just here and there and blah, blah, blah. And not looked at in any kind of positive light, in my opinion, where it was like you're gaining experience from so many different things. And a lot of the jobs I personally did were seasonal. So that's why I was job hopping. I was also moving to different places, right? I wasn't just like, oh, I don't like this person anymore or whatever. And I think that sharing the stories of kind of going from here to there and here to there is very important these days, because it can remind us that it is not a bad thing to want or try new things it at all. And that's how we grow and learn and get experiences, and can, I don't know, also keep your mental health in check, where you are not allowing yourself to like get to burnout or like completely lose that passion, where like just going through the motions, right? That sucks when we're in those phases of life, and sometimes we have to go through them. But yeah, I love sharing the stories of going from here to there. And I know your path, like the one company closed, right? So if it didn't close, would you still be there? Who knows? But you also mentioned that you're very drawn to these different opportunities. And so if one, comes across your desk and you're like, that sounds amazing, like, I want to take that. I love hearing that, because again, it just, I think, feeds what some of us need to hear, is that we can take opportunities, right? We can create opportunities. We don't have to be stuck in one box and one path. And it can feel scary and risky at times, but you know what? Like, if it's that hell yes, I feel like you have to do it. You have to do it. If something comes your way and all you can think is like, "Oh my god, that sounds amazing." Like, fucking do it. Do it.
Totally. And it's like, I've always like, I stay at places, at least 2, 3 years, right? It's
Yeah.
not like hopping every year, but
Mhm.
it's like oftentimes, especially because I always work with growing companies, it's like there comes a time if I come in, I fix everything, I set everything up, and then it's like on autopilot in its like trajectory. It's like that, like so at times I feel like my job is done. Right.
Mhm.
And then it's
Mhm.
like, what's the next thing that I can like go and put my heart and soul in? Because that's my like sweet spot, is really like optimizing. But also like if there's enough to keep me engaged, like those dangly things may not be as interesting. Right.
Right.
So it depends on like where I am. But I would say there's like such value in having like breadth and depth of knowledge. And so like even working at the nonprofit, it seemed like totally out of left field, but like when we're working with empowerment partners now, and not like I know all like how nonprofits work, right?
Mhm.
And so and just even like I used to like work in I ran a graffiti artist's studio for a year in New York. And so like I just know all about that.
That's
And
so
like
cool.
so there's just like I really love the just like I would not have thrived in a, like having the same job. And really because I can't, you can't see out of like that lens if you're
Mhm.
only in it. Like I love being able to like pull things from my past and synthesize things and cross them, and right, it's just like it just adds so much more value to my role. And also like, for me, I'm always like, that sounds like a lot of responsibility, I want to do that. Right.
I have to wear 18 hats. I'll do it.
I'm like, it's just like, right. It's like, where's the challenge? And
Yeah.
like, I want the challenge because I find it really satisfying. And it like drives me, like, give me a goal and I will be like the operator that gets you there, you know?
Yes. Oh, I love
But
it.
I was like deeply like, part of when I got my MBA at NYU as well. And I did it in strategy, accounting, and sustainability, because I thought that added like a nice dimension to my portfolio at the time. And I feel like all of that, like just creating more depth around you, right? It's like get all the information in the world and then decide like where you want to like read a job description. Like, does that feel like it like fits with my, not only my skill set, but like my interests? There are things that I know how to do that I'm not interested in doing. I'm really
Uh-huh.
good at them, but I'm like, I don't want to do that because I just don't like it. So it gives
Yeah.
you that choice.
Oh, I love to hear it because yes, I mean that's how I just resonate with that. Like I know so much about so many different random things, and you can take those skills and plug them into something else where it may seem like there's no connection here, but I'm very used to connecting dots that feel very unrelated from like first view or
Totally.
something. And
Yeah.
I do think we all need that. And these days, it's like you just need even more of it because information is so readily available too that it's like go out, get the real world experience, and there is less and less. I think people are looking at experiences more than they used to than just the paper. Like, did you
Yes.
get your, education here and have you worked at this job for 5+ years, whatever. So it's so of such value to have so many different skills, and it's very cool to see that, or hear rather, that it's all kind of come full circle to you now with BRANWYN. When you started with them, because like you said, it's a growing team. How long have they been around? When exactly did they come on
Yeah,
the
I mean,
scene?
so the very first product was through like a Kickstarter in 2016.
Okay.
And then it was like the current like owner, he bought it in 2019. So really it's just been like the model that we have now, I would say like really started in 2019, but the heart of the brand started in 2016. And it was named BRANWYN in 2019.
Okay, okay. And so I was wondering because I know there is a similar, or there's a company, not a similar company, but the name is similar. It's the name of the woman who started it, who owns it. And I was reading the about like our story on the BRANWYN website, and so Shauna, is she the original founder?
Yes.
So
Yes,
yeah, I was wondering,
exactly.
like, do you know where the name Brandwyn came
You
from
know
or how
what?
it came
I
about?
don't have like I mean, it's funny because when I was considering joining the team, I looked up what the meaning of it was. It means white raven. I mean, the name Branwen means white raven or blessed raven. So it's associated with battle, prophecy, a mystical quality. So I think there's just like a lot of depth and history and story and about women. And there's just like a lot of like, there's this feeling around the name.
Okay.
So that's someone else probably has a better story about it, but yeah,
I just always am curious. It's one of those questions that I forget to ask people kind of often, but
totally.
also because I notice in a lot of just media or things that it's all capitalized too. So then I wasn't sure. I'm like, is it an acronym of any kind
Yeah,
or like where did it
no, it's
come
not
from?
an
So
acronym.
okay. Awesome. Well, tell us about your introduction to Brandwyn and you find out about this company. Did you start off right away? Did you apply straight for these positions or did you start in
Oh
one
yeah,
and it grew to the
so
other?
yeah, I was brought in. I was introduced to the owner and CEO, and so I joined as the VP of Finance and Ops, and then a few months in, I was promoted to the COO CFO role. So same function, just a title adjustment just for a little ramp up into the role. But yeah, it's been amazing. The team is amazing. Our CEO, Deanne, is just an incredible woman and leader. I just adore working with her. And so, yeah, I joined and just immediately got to work on like understanding like just the economics of the business. The supply chain is quite, it's on the complexer side ish, right? Like we buy yarn, we like the production is on seamless machines. So just lots of things that I had like not had experience with previously, just not in terms of process, but just in terms of the actual product. So there's a big learning curve for sure. Learning about wool, which is this amazing living fabric, or sorry, material, fiber. That's what it is. Sorry. And just, yeah, big learning curve. And, but it's been a wonderful experience. We're growing, like even in the market right now, we're growing really substantially. So, it's just been a great launch of my next step for sure.
Yeah, fairly new like in the journey. So is this less than a year?
Yeah, I joined in
Okay.
January.
Wow, yeah, and
Yeah.
I got to meet Deanne. I met her at Outdoor Media Summit in October,
Oh,
just like
awesome.
quickly in passing, because we had emailed and then like happened to run into each other in the bathroom and it's like, hey,
Oh,
hi,
cool.
and whatnot. So it was great to meet her, and I hope to like get to spend some more time with her sometime at
You
another
have to. Yeah.
show or something for sure. But she was just so nice that I was like, oh, I love you. And so, for those out there who've been listening and maybe don't know exactly about what Brandwyn is and what you're all about, can you explain to them? It's so performance innerwear, what that means, and we'll dive into the story behind wool too, because if you out there listeners haven't, you know, wool kind of scares you, the idea of it doesn't sound appealing, right? Because of what you might know of wool being itchy or hot or this or that. Well, it is just a force to be reckoned with in, I feel like, especially the outdoor industry right now. And I definitely
Totally.
had my thoughts about it as far as underwear and how that might feel, especially as women, and what we may be used to as this like very thin, seamless, tiny like piece of fabric that you're like, well, how's this gonna feel, kind of thing. But like I said, I have been in love with mine. But yeah, like, give the audience a little story about what Brandwyn is, and we'll get into the wool story too. Why wool?
Yeah, totally. Well, I will just start with like Brandon, like one of our values is empowering or supporting women, all women in all ways, always, which I think is just really like that's like the base of where we operate from. And so you can feel that in everything that we do. And I also feel that in everything that we do internally, which is really amazing. So we're innerwear, which is like next to skin, underwear, bras. We started like the original brand started with a thong, like making the very first product was a thong that was intended to be moisture wicking, and last a long time. And so the thong was perfected. It was like only available in black. That's what the Kickstarter was. And it was, yeah, so it's seamless merino, which is not commonly done, right? Because it's quite complex in doing that. Like the fibers and the machines, like they're not always like, it's very difficult, like from a development perspective to make that happen. And so then moved into a bikini and a bralette, and then moved into a hipster, and like a more substantial bra, and then like a more compression racer back. And then most recently we launched our shorts, like a wool compression short, and a wool compression pant, like a legging. And they're so beautiful. Have you tried them?
No, I haven't, but I've seen the
Okay.
short. When I saw the short coming out, I was like, "Oh my God," because I love a short, and I do CrossFit as well. So and that's very much the kind of shorter 5 or less inch inseam. But what my problem is, what I hate is that every kind of company for like high intensity workouts are very like they feel like Instagram brands, so like probably not sustainable whatsoever. But no one else is making like shorts. Like I want my shorts. I just do. Like my butt cheeks not hanging out, but I still love shorts for those workouts, not for running, but yeah, so when I saw those, I was like, "Oh my God, this could be like the short that I've been
They
looking
are
for that
so
no other
awesome. Like,
company has come up with."
yeah, exactly. And so they're seamless, which has all these benefits, which we can also talk about. But they're compression, but not like so compression, like, like high intensity, like running, but they hold you like perfectly. Right. And there's something about like the way that the merino fiber like molds to your body is the best way I can describe it. Right. Like you put them on, you're like, ooh, these feel like tightish and interesting. And then you move in them and you're like, oh my God, they like feel like they're mine. Right.
Oh,
Which not like rather than like I oftentimes feel like you put on leggings and you're like, you're going into the legging and you're like,
mhm.
ooh, do I like this legging? This one is like, oh, the legging now becomes part of me,
I
which is
love
like such
that.
an incredible experience. And so, yeah, so that's been the iteration of the product development. We have other products coming down the pipeline, which are really exciting. And then we have a cut and sew collection that's seasonal, like a fall winter seasonal collection that is the most buttery, beautiful fabric in the world. I've never like felt anything like it before. It has like this like beautiful weight to it, and it's super soft, and it's merino in these beautiful silhouettes. So we do like a jogger and a hoodie, um, uh, and a couple other silhouettes on a seasonal basis. So like we don't have them up right now, but they will be coming. And so
Oh,
that's our only cut and sew collection. But the core of the brand is these innerwear pieces, right? Like they're in basic colors. We occasionally launch like a flash kind of color. But the cool thing about it from a sustainability perspective, like in an operational sense and financial sense, is that we don't do these collections that then date themselves and
mm,
have to discount them or close them out. Like it's a replenishment business. And so it's not a matter of if we're going to sell a unit, it's just a matter of when. So like if one color starts selling more slowly, like we just don't buy as many, right? Like
yeah.
we have that opportunity, which is really cool on the planning side. And just working with like seeing what ads are working, right? And like do we need to tweak the buy? And right, there's just so many things that go into it, but it makes it so that we never like I'm so used to looking at a balance sheet and seeing like old inventory, and then you're like, where's the old inventory? Like, oh, it's on a pallet in the back corner or whatever. We just don't have that, right? It's like in, out, done, which is really beautiful.
Incredible. And I mean, I'm sure not having all the different color, like flashy colors or whatnot, comes into the sustainability in many different ways. Like, get those colors obviously aren't natural, right? And so that in itself is how do you get things to be this color? So obviously with wool, it seems like maybe dyeing it could be easier than other fabrics or harder. I don't know. But with can you talk a little bit about like why where the wool came from, why
Totally.
everything.
This is the really cool part of the story. So, wool, I have learned it's a living, active fiber. And the coolest thing about it, and this like ties into people thinking maybe it's only for winter or like, right, is
Mhm.
that it comes from sheep. Obviously, it's wool. It's merino wool. It's the finest, softest wool that you can find. And like sheep have evolved over the years to develop their coats that it's just like the fabric that grows, not the fabric that grows on them,
Their coats.
their coats. Oh, that was funny. They it's been like over the year, like over thousands of years, it's been like naturally designed to when they're hot, it keeps them cool, and when they're cool, it keeps them warm. And it's doing that in its natural state, right? And even when the wool is sheared and turned into yarn, and then we turn the yarn into garments, it holds those qualities. And so when you're wearing wool, it's doing that exact same thing, and it's designed by nature with like no interference. And I just think that is like the coolest thing, to have next to skin, right? Like nothing could be better
Yeah.
than that, in my opinion.
100%. And I feel like you hear this story, right? Things, a lot of different fabrics or things like claim this, right? Keeps you warm when it's cool and cool when it's hot, the blah, blah, blah. And I always feel like it's hard to understand, like, how, why. And I'm sure someone can go into the weeds about that, especially given like merino wool and like how it does that with sheep, actually, and how the fabric maintains those qualities when made into something. But I was really, really interested in trying the bra because one of my biggest things is I have big boobs and I also sweat a lot. So boob sweat is always a thing, and I have to have extra clothes in the car, or like no matter what time of year, if I'm going on a big hike or bike or the gym or whatever, because even if it's warm outside, if I'm sitting in my sweaty bra, it will not dry and I will be cold. And I have had like self-proclaimed or self-diagnosed rather, like Raynaud's, where like I've literally climbed a summit in the summer, but on the way down my fingers are like yellow because I'm so sweaty, and on the way down I'm not expending as much energy or heat, so I'm like cooling down. And because of that bra, so like if I go out in the backcountry camping or anything like that, first thing is when I get to camp, I'm taking that bra off because otherwise I know I will freeze at night. So with trying the BRANWYN bra, I was like, all right, this is the true test for me. And like,
Yes.
will I be able to wear this thing? And like, how quickly will it dry after the activity so that I don't feel like I have to rip it off immediately? And obviously that depends on like other circumstances and things, but that was like, I can't wait. That was my true test. And but also having big boobs and some of the activity is like, I have felt very supported rather shockingly with the racer back, compared to what I'm used to, and have to wearing like H back and very like tight fitting compressive bras. So I was very pleasantly surprised with the support from the racer back that I got. And yeah, in the lower impact activities, like I've been able to wear it mountain biking. I haven't worn it like CrossFit or running, but still in a lot of the day to day, it's been great and supportive. And I also, since I wear H back so often, that sometimes when I wear a racer back now, I feel like the pressure. And if I'm wearing it for a long time, I'll start to feel that. But again, that's just because of how my body is, what I'm used to. But again, not like if I were to put on that old like Nike bra that I had, I would instantly feel like, oh, my shoulders, everything's crunched and compressed. And so, yeah, it has felt great, supportive without being too compressive. I could wear it for long hours and I feel like it freaking dries.
I'm so glad to hear all that. That's amazing. That's exactly why this product exists, right? It's like, and it's amazing because we see all the customer reviews and their stories like similar to yours, right? But then it extends. So someone will be like, oh, I've had this skin condition my whole life. I finally found like a bra or that is comfortable on my skin, which you wouldn't inherently think like
Mhm.
wool and a skin condition, but the natural fiber of it, and because it's merino and it's super soft, it solves the problem, right? So there's like medical like things that problems that it's solving. There's like so many confidence things that are solving. Like there was one review that was like, we've never been able to find a bra for my young daughter to wear that she's comfortable with, so she like goes to school with no bra, and like I'm not comfortable with that, and we finally found the bra that works for her.
Oh, I
And
love
like, right,
that.
I mean, this story, and like I think there was one that was like, I'm 70 and I finally found the bra I've been looking for my whole life. Like
Wow.
those are
Wow.
really powerful stories, right? Like so we're like solving problems that we didn't even know existed by
Yeah.
just having an amazing product that has these really cool qualities. And so it's so well suited to the outdoor space and activities, right? So it's antimicrobial, it dries fast, it has the temperature regulation, um, but it's also biodegradable. Like, right? I think the wool, like in 12 months in the ground it would be gone, right?
Wow.
Which is so cool. So it has all these like outdoor like features, but then they're transferable, obviously, to like outside of the outdoor industry, um, which is just like for in terms of growth for the brand, right? There's just so much opportunity, and like for every story that I read, I'm like, oh, there's like 1 million people behind this story that also
Yeah,
need this product, right?
exactly.
And as people are getting used to like or are experiencing the shorts and the leggings, same thing there, right? Like I actually wore them to like a hit class, and that wore the leggings to a hit class. And like I've never had like people like ask me about my clothes like at the gym, right? Things are pretty much the same. And they were like, those leggings look amazing. I was like, oh my God, they feel amazing. And right, it's that. So I think an atypical product that has just so many uses. People are wearing the shorts under dresses. Like, I mean, it just goes on, and then you go to winter, and then it's just like super easy in terms of like what you're going to use it for. It's just that you just want the next to skin merino for that temperature regulating piece, but it's for the summer as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that antimicrobial piece and confidence piece is something else I wanted to loop in because on the website, that antimicrobial or like funk free, right, helping with
Yeah,
smell or odors, which I think can really be something that stops us women or worries us, right, when we're working out and like, oh my god, does this smell, does that smell? And that piece was also something that I was testing out in my own brain there of like, oh yeah, do I notice a difference after said activity and any odors or things like that? And I definitely did, and that's also what convinced me of like, okay, I really need my whole underwear drawer to be merino wool
yes,
because this is amazing. And as you were mentioning the story with the young girl, and finding a bra that she finally feels comfortable in and going to school. I coach wrestling, and I coach boys and girls, but with the girls, there's a lot of still conversations of how do I it's high school, so how do I navigate this. I had a talk with a couple of my girls just about their periods and like what could be more comfortable using while wrestling, and it just made me think of this underwear for them too at that age, that like that may be something they're very much more in their heads about because boys joke about this or that. So I'm like,
totally.
yeah, I want to introduce them to even just a better kind of underwear for them to wear because you have to. It is in the rules. Like you have to wear underwear under your singlet. And so with the bras and underwear, I'm like, girls, like we need to talk. We need to get you in on this. This will make you feel good about sweating and you're in it all day long at a tournament. You're, just sure, I'm sure girls bring change of underwear and whatnot, but yeah, I just had a light bulb moment of this could be
Yeah.
huge for the younger generation and instilling that confidence when they're doing these sports, because we lose so many young girls in that adolescent age, middle school to high school, to sports because other societal things get in their heads. They lose their confidence for a vast amount of reasons and stop playing sports. And so if we can nip some of that in the butt by giving them confidence by simple things like you don't have to worry about like odor or things, like you're not going to
Totally.
worry if the boys are saying this or that, like that fear is gone, ladies, and you'll stick with your sport. And I just really believe that sports relate directly into life and leadership roles and women taking over the world.
Couldn't agree more. And what's really cool, like you can wash them, like you could be on a camping trip and wash them in the, like just rinse them in the river and hang them up and they'll be ready to go in the morning. No smell, like, right? So
Incredible.
there, it's just like such an amazing product, and like we have like all like no phthalates and no PBA, like all the forever chemicals. We get certified every year, showing that we get them tested every year and make sure that there's nothing in there. And like most underwear and stuff that we wear, like that's just the norm, and we've
Yeah.
accepted it. And so it's it's revolutionary in that way, right? It's like changing. It's like, of course we deserve to have amazing fabric on like the most like sensitive parts of our bodies, right? Like why would we accept anything less?
And exactly. But we've had to accept less because we haven't been the ones at the helm
Totally.
driving this. We haven't been the ones designing these things in the first place, which is absolutely mind blowing to think of that men have literally run like every industry. And it's like, you don't even know what it's like. Like, why are you driving this ship? So it's so amazing to have women at the forefront in these realms who can really relate and design, know what it's like, design what is for them and for other women. Because you mentioned, when you're reading comments and you're like, there's 1 million stories behind this one comment, and that's what we say here is if I want to hear about something, if I'm interested in something, I know someone else is. We're not
Totally.
unique, we are in our ways, but we're also not. So there's
Yeah.
very much like we all there's looking for the same things to be solved, and you just have to know that like there's someone else out there in the world looking for that thing. And also bringing up the washing, that's huge because I've had wool before BRANWYN. Like the only wool that I had was in base layers and winter and merino wool, which is also why I love my BRANWYN for snowmobiling. Again, I sweat
Yeah.
a shit ton, and so there I am sweating in the backcountry in the middle of winter, and as soon as you stop, like you're freezing. So I
Freezing.
have to have like layers to put on when I'm stopped, but as soon as I start riding again, I'm hot. So I've I've taken notes all the time when I'm out there wearing that stuff in the winter. It comes into play so much more. But back to the washing, that was one of my concerns is like, oh no, do you have to have a special merino wool wash that you're putting in and I have to keep it separate? But it's been real easy and simple. Just throw it in the wash and then I hang it to dry.
Yeah, the best, like for it to last the longest, it putting it in, like we have like laundry bags. If you put it in there, cold water, you can put it in the wash, and yeah, hanging to dry. That'll just extend the life of the product just due to the nature of the fiber. But it's not like, like I have had some wool things where you put them in the wash and the dry, like, and they come out like right like this big. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like not a risk with our product, which is really nice. Um, and like I said, it molds to your body over time, which is just so cool.
Yeah, and it's
Or
been really
your
cool.
underwear.
Yeah, I love it. It's been awesome too to see, like we mentioned, the leggings, the shorts, and the line kind of growing in different ways because I had a long conversation with a gal at Sea Otter who is a avid bike packer, and we had the discussion about chamois, and on a bike packing trip, especially a long one, because I want to get into bike packing. And so one of my first questions, I was like, well, what do you like, how can I do this without packing 500 chamois? Because that to me just feels like I will not want to put those back on after a day of use. And I know you avid bike packers out there, like, and through hikers, anything like that, you get it, you just have to kind of do it. But for this particular piece of clothing that is in your nether region, I was like, is there anything out there that like is, and this was because of my experience with BRANWYN and getting exposed to wool underwear and whatnot, that I was like, well, how might I fix this for biking or whatnot? And so it's just cool to see you guys growing into other realms like the shorts and the leggings. It makes me feel like things are possible, right? And people are thinking forward and of these things that are very much just something that people don't talk about that much. So she shared a
Yeah.
story with me, and so that's why a lot of people are also like, no chamois in the bike world, because that is it is an issue. It's an issue.
Right.
So yeah, I'm hoping to see more product development overall in
Totally.
the industry and seeing what people can do. And I think with BRANWYN just taking a huge step into this and covering the market, like what I see from what's posted for you guys, it's like, it is not just the outdoors, right? You are appealing to women everywhere. What
Women that
would you
care.
say?
Yeah.
Doing all the thing, supporting women,
Of
always
supporting
doing
women,
all the
all
things.
women, it always, always.
Yes. Okay. Yes, I love that so much, and what I see, like I said, you guys are definitely doing that. So I was just so stoked to be able to have you on and to continue to myself to support the BRANWYN mission, because I really feel like you guys are making waves and doing something incredible and giving people a product they deserve.
Thank you. We appreciate it. And we have like an amazing community that we've built. And it's just like, I just love all the stories. They're so good.
It's amazing. I wanted to take it back to you personally a little bit before we get out of here. And in this short time that you've been with BRANWYN, has there been any big aha moments or just lessons learned in the recent few months?
You know what? I'm a very like micro, right? Aha. Like I never have big aha moments. I feel like I go in a circle, like being like, just like assessing, fixing, optimizing. Like, so I just dove in and kind of like looked for any opportunities for, for improvement. And I think, in the last, I guess, almost 8 months, I would say like, you know, uh, inventory planning is like such an important function, and BRANWYN has done a great job at it. And I came in and I've optimized it a bit and whatever, but like it's such an important, like when you do ops and you do finance, right? Like the cash implications to how much product you're buying, to like how much like the warehousing space is going to be, and you're growing, like there's so many things, right? But just like the importance of having really dialed inventory planning, just for any brand. I mean, and that's like been a thread through my whole career, right? And I love inventory planning. Like I think it's so fun. But that, and then just, I introduced like weekly business review performance, right? So like every Monday we all sit down and we look through all of our key metrics and like see if anything's actionable. And I just really believe in like democratizing data, sharing it so everybody knows and is talking about the same thing and tracking against expectations. So those are the two major things, like inventory planning and like visibility to performance from a data backed perspective, is super important for any business.
I love that. And the inventory planning, I think, wraps into sustainability as well, right? You've
Exactly.
got to think about like not just from the dollar, but like if we overstock, like, well, and can't get rid of it, that goes against our values and sustainability story. Yes, shit happens, but you're doing your best from your role and you're with sustainability in mind to not end up in those situations. So
Never overbuy. Just don't
yeah,
overbuy.
totally. Yeah, exactly.
nobody
Rather
want
like
nobody in the world wants you overbuying.
no, not at all. Well, before we wrap up here, can you tell the people where to find BRANWYN? Are you in stores or are you only D2C? And also, oh, is there anything kind of like exciting coming up that you can talk about, or anything to look out for or whatnot for the future of BRANWYN?
Yes, you can find us at branwyn.com, branwyn.com. We're DTC only. We're in like one wholesale account, but we don't have like a big wholesale business. And also check out our blog. So a lot of the things that we touched on today about the benefits of Merino and like all the nitty gritty about why Merino works the way it does are on our blog. So lots of really cool stuff to read there. Follow us on Instagram. We have like lots of people sharing how they're using the product, which is really cool. Coming up, we have one new product coming out this fall. That's all I can say. It's going to be awesome.
I love a teaser. I'll be keeping a close
But
eye on that
otherwise,
for sure.
we're just really like, yeah, I would say like we're just focused on like getting everybody to find the brand, right? So because we know like it's relevant to everyone, and it's just a discovery, right? Discovery project or strategy.
I love that. Very cool. Well, Sarah, thank you so, so much for joining us today, giving us an insight to your path to BRANWYN, BRANWYN itself, and what you're doing as a company, your values, brand, why Merino. I hope we've convinced some of you out there to give it a try, because I will attest this is not an ad. I love my BRANWYN, and I have really noticed a difference when it comes to like activity, whether it's in the summer or the winter, in keeping me out there and active and more comfortable because of the properties of the merino wool. So if you have any questions, reach out to me, reach out to BRANWYN through their channels. But I really think that you all should give it a try, and don't let like, wool scare you if you haven't tried it. Yeah, like I said, I'm convinced I want all wool underwear. So
Thank you so much for having me. This has been awesome, and thank you for doing what you do.
thank you so much, Sarah. And everybody out there, thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you next week.